I think one of the greatest memories always was when we gathered for our orientation and these teams came together. They'd never met each other before, of women and of sisters. And when we would get into all of our cars, and sometimes that'd be like 15 or so, and we'd take off and the sisters would be singing for us. Farewell, they'd be sending us off, and you truly felt like you were going on a mission trip, being missioned by the sisters, that they were part of it. And there was this tremendous energy and anticipation because we didn't know each other that well. And so you knew that this group would have to create community with one another. And so you always had this kind of dream that it would all work. And we'd be together for 6 weeks, and that's a long time.
What's been, just give me one good feeling experience that you've had with the group.
Well, I think it's been laughter. We've shared a lot of laughter with our group. We do a lot of practical jokes on everybody, and it's really kept us happy. And I think that's really important in community, to be happy. And I think we all are, and we should laugh a lot.
Thank you, Lisa.
Love is music, if you know what I mean. People who believe in music are the happiest people I've ever seen. So clap your hands, stomp your feet, and shake your tambourine. Lift your voices to the sky, God loves you when you sing. Oh, I believe in music. Oh, I believe in love. Oh, I believe in music. Oh,
I think a lot of it are things that I already knew about myself, but had lost touch with, perhaps. Having, as you know, served in the Peace Corps many, many, many years ago, and having worked in other programs, I knew a lot about working in things. I worked in inner city Atlanta and such. So I knew about a lot of this stuff, but I had lost track of a lot of it because of time for career, family, kids, that sort of thing. So I think I learned to get back in touch with that part of me that could grow by getting into uncomfortable situations. And that's probably the biggest thing. Now, there as well, there's always working in other communities, a tremendous amount of learning about oneself when you learn about their culture, how their families operate, how their situations are with their government, what kind of daily problems that they have. And then that always offers reflection on oneself. And certainly that's the way I approach it, that it gives me a chance to reevaluate my own situation. And those are probably the biggest things that I would say. They sort of go together, I think, too. And so I did kind of touch on that. I think the biggest thing, and again, not something that was totally new, but at the same time, something that was new and refurbishing itself in a way, but to learn about the diversity of cultures. And this diversity exists from outside one's own back door all the way to the mountains of Honduras. Any community that's different from what you're in has different kinds of perspectives, different kinds of experiences, different kinds of people. And so that gave me an opportunity to look at what they were like. And for me, one of the things that I again learned was that there's tremendous similarity between all groups of any of these communities. Family and love, illness, happiness, birth, death, they all have those things within their community. Religion and faith, in one form or another, in every community. How the community structures itself, how they have friends, how the government works. All these are very similar things that one can pick out, and a way of learning about those cultures. At the same time, by recognizing those similarities, you're also able then to see how those things affect the people. What's the relative importance of those things and how it affects their lives? Just
well. So I had a textbook base of knowledge on the struggles people face in the world, and some in-person knowledge, but really being immersed in a community that was unfamiliar to me, that I had to get to learn, really helped me to understand the struggles people were facing. And now it wasn't just like a distant stranger or a case study, but it was my neighbors and my friends. And so seeing those barriers and those systemic issues play out in real life to people I cared about really helped to ignite that drive within me further, which is how I decided to continue on in social work. But I also learned that despite all the challenges in the world, there's always joy to be found, and that in a community that really supports each other, that's where resiliency lies. And you can get through a lot if you have a community on your back. There's two that really come to mind, and they really stem from the relationships I was able to build while I was there. Some of my favorite times were just with our little community, with me and the other Franciscan sisters down there, and how we would make time, intentional time each week to just cook meals for each other and pray with each other and play cards or watch TV together. And it was just a really great example of like healthy friendships and holiness in your everyday life that like I continue to strive for now. And just like giving that gift of time to other people. And then another great memory was with a student that I had worked with. So as I was leaving, a lot of the students wrote little notes to say goodbye. And one of them left a note saying, "Thank you for teaching me respect," which is not something I had deliberately done. And I was really proud of him for acknowledging that. But just being able to see like his growth over the whole school year, how he was not able to learn like respecting others is important, but he really grew a lot in his own self-respect, and how he thought he was more important in the end, and he was able to help others and bring them along with him. And that really meant a lot to me.
Well, I can begin by saying that when I mentioned that I was going to have an interview because of the anniversary of the Franciscan Common Venture, I mentioned your name, the person who was going to interview, and Abby is interviewing. Abby! Entonces, your spirit is alive and well in Suchitoto. I could mention some other volunteers and get the same kind of response. What happens at our center or here in Suchitoto, given its post-war reality, is the healing that takes place really needs to be expressed in loving gestures, to be reaffirmed by people who also were involved subconsciously in the minds of the people with the war. When young people from the United States come and make known to them that they really did not know what they were participating in, nor did their parents, when our Civil War was going on, when the people here realize there would have been a civil war even without the United States participation, but it wouldn't have been as long or as cruel without the participation of the US government. So when you come and you admit the same realization that it's good for them to hear, I think you have nourished us, and I think you've been nourished by us too. Our resiliency, our desire to love back, to not judge. I mean, we didn't think you ever wanted a war. That's good for us to realize, to be able to hug you and know that we're all connected. Even people who come from places that acted so cruelly. The seeds of service, I think we have to recognize if anybody volunteers to come here, their seeds already budding. It's not that they haven't been on fertile ground. You have to really be grateful for the life that before you came here. Something was planted long before you got off the plane and into my arms. No, the seeds of service are flowering long before we see the fruits. But we see the fruits giving new seeds. It's learning. I think the fruit is, I watch you learning to love more maturely. That's the fruit for me. And the fruit for you is being accepted as a loving person, and vice versa.